as we head into January 6th, who gets honored by President Biden, not with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but with one step down, like the commendation, one under, but Liz Cheney, because what do the Democrats love more than the Cheneys?
This is, I think it's important to sometimes underscore how amazing it really is for people who may not have been involved in politics 20 years ago, who weren't paying a lot of attention, who were too young to have lived through it. The policies that Dick Cheney stood for, that Liz Cheney by his side was a vocal advocate of and continues to this very day to justify, not just the invasion of Iraq, though that too, Guantanamo, due process-free imprisonment, kidnapping people off the streets of Europe, torture, CIA black sites. These things were regarded at the time for years as one of the greatest evils in American history by liberals and Democrats. They were calling these people Nazis and war criminals. And to be honest, I was among them. So to watch the commendation not just be about Liz Cheney's heroic role on the January 6th committee, but Biden said 20 years of service in defense of dignity, freedom, and decency, when she's a symbol of these policies that they said at least as bad about as they say of Trump now, is just so indicative of how Democratic Party politics has become so craven and empty.
Mm-hmm. It's really, it's pretty galling. And of course, they just want to call attention to January 6th, and they continue trying to sell it as the new 9/11. And the American public is just not buying it, no matter how many Dark Brandon's speeches we have, how many attempts to declare Trump an insurrectionist and keep him off the ballot we have, or how many presidential medals we have given to. Nobody pays attention to these civilian medals. It's like Anna Wintour was given him. Like, what? How does she get? And I think she got the one higher than Liz Cheney, by the way. There's somebody, yes, I have this here in my packet. Somebody is upset. Some leftist is upset that Liz Cheney didn't get what Anna Wintour got. It's CNN medical analyst Jonathan Reiner says, so Biden awarded Liz Cheney a lesser recognition than Anna Wintour, Denzel Washington, and Bill Nye the Science Guy? Indefensible. This is the Presidential Medal of Freedom. No public figure has demonstrated courage in the defense of freedom more than Liz. Glenn.
There's so many things to say about that. I honestly don't know where to start. But first of all, just as an aside, because you brought it up, the reason Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, got that award is because she refused to put Melania on the cover of Vogue, like the first time in years that a first lady hasn't been on there, but put Jill Biden on there twice. So she has made her political affinities very clear. And of course, the Biden administration loves her for that. Okay. We just went through a campaign where Kamala Harris effectively made Liz Cheney her running mate, dragging her all throughout the Midwest as though disaffected, working class people were yearning for a return of the nobility of the Cheneys, as though that's what they were craving. And look, I have Liz Cheney here. And look, I'm going to go to Michigan and remind all of you, the Muslim voters that I have Dick Cheney's daughter with me too. Remember them? And it failed. And not only did it fail in terms of Liz Cheney, I think the broader point failed of trying to tell Americans that ideology doesn't matter, economics doesn't matter, culture doesn't matter. All that matters is our conception of democracy. And remember January 6th, and it was Liz. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. This is not what people think. It was a 3-hour riot that was easily subdued. It had about 1,000 Trump supporters at most. 2 of them dropped out of a heart attack, 1 of them from an overdose. These were not trained militias. Nobody wielded a gun. To continue to try and squeeze the stone after they just got crushed doing it, January 6th, insurrection, Liz Cheney, they're just so out of ideas that it's almost like they don't even internalize the rejection that they just experienced.
So when Joe Biden gave Liz Cheney the award, as there always is when it's Joe Biden and a woman, any woman, could be Betsy DeVos, who came on my show a couple years ago to say that she was in a wheelchair after having hurt her leg, and he basically Me Too'd her forehead. I don't understand exactly, but it happened. To the little girls whose hair he sniffs, to Liz Cheney, Joe Biden doesn't know when to let go of any female in his presence. In this video here, you'll see he's got her by the hand. She's kind of like, give me my award. Okay, I've got the award. She tries to pull away. He won't let go. He's holding on to the hand. At one point, she actually does roll her eyes. she still doesn't have the award. He's still holding on to it. And I don't know exactly what's going on here, Glenn, but it's probably further evidence of the president's decline. I'm just going to give you one more on the back of that one. Last night, he gave an interview. Well, he didn't give an interview. He's caught at the White House on camera speaking to reporters. This is from Fox News. We went back to look at the original to see what led to this moment. What was it? A question about Debbie Murphy? Somebody asked him a question about what? Oh, asked him about Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship. Okay, that was the question that preceded the outburst you will hear from Joe Biden right here. Listen.
Do you still believe he's a threat to democracy?
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. My being the oldest president, I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole goddamn life.
What? Wait, what? So what's happening there, Glenn?
I'm almost hesitant to say it because, we all have this experience, I think, where somebody in our family or somebody beloved by someone close to us ends up in like the last stages of their life. They're, experiencing various forms of dementia. They go into nursing homes. You talk to any caregiver in a nursing home, and they will tell you that male patients in particular, as they get older, they start doing very inappropriate things. They lose sense of their boundaries, but also they just you can't follow a conversation any longer. And they get very grumpy at the same time, like almost aggressive. That was like, I would have been concerned for my physical safety if I had been in the vicinity of Joe Biden when he was speaking that way, because actually that dementia can make people very physically powerful.
True.
Megyn,
True.
I was going to talk about how the lies that the media told about January 6th, like Brian Sicknick being bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher, all those lies that they told. I think it's really worth pausing that if Joe Biden had been reelected, as a lot of them wanted him to do, as the Democratic Party was intending for him to be, he would have 4 more years in this state. 4 more years. He's 82. He would go to 86. He already doesn't know where he is. He has no compartmental self-control. He doesn't understand what's being said to him. And the media and Democrats have spent not just years, but even more so over the last 12 months heading into the election, vehemently insisting that Joe Biden has never been sharper, that he's smarter than everybody in the room, that he's whip smart and detailed focused. And they continue to say it. Simone Sanders said it. Chuck Schumer was saying it just a few months ago. The lie that they told about Joe Biden's mental capacity when they thought they needed him to be reelected is such a foundational lie to our democracy, and so many of them were complicit in it.
Mm-hmm. And yet we had, right as we went to break, PolitiFact saying the lie of the year was Trump's, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets. That was the lie of the year, not Joe Biden's fine and can totally do a second term. It was, what a joke. You mentioned a couple of media defenses of Joe Biden's mental acuity. We've got some of that. Here's Simone Sanders on Meet the Press on Sunday.
I was very surprised that when you asked the question about mental acuity, he didn't more forcefully push back. The question on the table is the president all the way there? And the answer is unequivocally yes.
Democrats in November to try to tell the American people something they could see with their own eyes wasn't true.
But it's not true that the president doesn't have the mental acuity.
Oh, really? She was referring to Chuck Schumer there, which I'll just play too before I toss it to you, Glenn. Kristen Welker, the moderator, confronted Chuck Schumer over the many lies he told about Biden being a superhero behind the scenes. If only we could see him the way Schumer sees him. He's an Einstein, ready to do rhetorical battle with anybody at any point. Here she is confronting Schumer on it.
I want to play you a little bit of something you said last year. Take a look.
I talk to President Biden, regularly. Sometimes several times in a week, or usually several times in a week. His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to Americans who feel as though you and other top Democrats misled them about President Biden's mental acuity?
Look, we didn't. And let's look at President Biden. He's had an amazing record. He's a patriot. He's a great guy. And when he stepped down, he did it on his own because he thought it was better not only for the Democratic Party, for America. We should all salute him. We should all salute him.
Do you feel, as we have this conversation today, that President Biden could serve another 4 years had he stayed in the race and potentially won?
Well, I'm not going to speculate. As I said, I think his record is a stellar one, and he'll go down in history as a really outstanding president.
So he doesn't answer. He's a great guy. He's a patriot. That does not speak to whether he has the mental acuity to do another 4 years, never mind complete the existing 4.
Also, they're still lying. They're still lying. The idea that Joe Biden so patriotically and selflessly decided he was going to step down because it was for the good of the country, he was infuriated that they were forcing him to step down. They threatened him with the 25th Amendment. Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama were calling every day and intensifying their threats. Nancy Pelosi said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. He's enraged and bitter to this day that they forced him to leave the race. He didn't selflessly do anything, let alone decide he didn't want to run for re-election. The other part of it, though, Megyn, is there obviously have been times when the media has lied to the public about, the war in Vietnam or Iraq or Russiagate, all Hunter Biden's laptop. And those were instances where the public had no way of knowing what the truth was. They had no way of knowing that they were being lied to. The amazing thing about this case is that if you look at public polling data going back to 2020, 2021, the public knew that Joe Biden was cognitively declining. They knew he was cognitively unfit for the presidency. The media pretended over and over that it was a lie. And until the debate happened, when they couldn't hide it anymore, and they all had to pretend, oh my God, we can't believe it. It turns out Joe Biden doesn't seem like he's all there. And the amazing part about that is when George Clooney wrote that op-ed that ended up being a significant catalyst to forcing Joe Biden out, which is the weird unto itself. But when George Clooney wrote that, he said when he decided that this has to happen was at that fundraiser they did where Barack Obama led him off the stage. And he said that Joe Biden was a Joe Biden I had never seen before. At the time, everybody else noticed that. They said, look, Joe Biden doesn't even know where he is. Obama has to walk him off the stage. The Washington Post, the New York Times, in conjunction with the White House, collaborated to say this was disinformation, right-wing cheap fakes. In other words, they were showing the correct video but lying about it. And then George Clooney comes out and says, yeah, at that event, he wasn't there. And none of these media outlets have remotely accounted for what it is that they did.
No. And by the way, Kristen Welker is equally guilty because there's a clip of her post the June debate, post the meltdown, defending Biden's mental acuity when she was interviewing Doug Burgum, who was raising serious questions about it. Here's that.
I mean, the nation, we keep talking about elections. We are at a greater national security risk today than we were on Thursday because the commander in chief showed that he's not capable of serving.
Well, there's not proof of that. But Governor, let me just ask you about the debate and a little bit more of what we saw. By one count, Donald Trump made more than 30 false claims during that debate.
Look at that, Glenn. She interrupts him. She won't let him back up his point. She claims there's no proof that he doesn't have the mental acuity to be president. This is days after that disastrous debate that would wind up causing him to lose massive support and wind up having to go. And then why? What is so pressing that she needs to move on to? Oh, Trump told 30 lies. You know how much my family and I love our dogs. Yes, even Strudwick. He was so sweet on our vacation. I can't imagine life without them. These guys have a great life, but some dogs are not so lucky. And this is why I'm so glad to tell you about Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They have rescued thousands of dogs, plus cats and horses too. They provide all the animals with shelter and safety, and most of all, with love. And they've been doing it for more than 45 years now. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions, and giving can bring tax benefits to you too. Speak with your estate planner about how you can grow your estate while helping animals in need. And check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more. We love our Thunder and Strudwick, but would like for other dogs who need love to find it too. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.